Hey everybody, I'm Becky Adams. Thank you for stopping by the Scrapbook and Cards Today YouTube channel. Today I'm creating a double page layout that is featured in the Fall 2023 issue of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. I'm using the Here and There collection by Simple Stories to create this layout. So the first thing that I always do when I'm creating a double page spread is to take whatever background papers I'm using and tape them together. I usually just use some washi tape that is sitting around my crafting space, and I just tape those two pages together. For me, it's a lot easier to do that than it is to navigate kind of designing two separate projects, if that makes any sense. But on the top half of this double page spread, I wanted a clouds, just that blue pattern paper with the clouds. And then I love this striped pattern paper along the bottom. I have worked with this collection before, so I didn't have two full sheets of either of these papers. So that's why I'm using the white cardstock as a base. So now that I have the white cardstock, it's all covered up now. You wouldn't, looking at the layout, you wouldn't even know that it was there. So I have these two, a double page spread with the cloud pattern paper at the top and the striped pattern paper at the bottom. The clouds I wanted that pop of blue, but it was a little too busy when I tried to bring my photos in and start putting the layout together. So I did cut some white cardstock down and went around the edge of it with my sewing machine and white thread, and I just put it right there on top or just above the striped pattern paper. This fun border is just a 1-inch border strip that I cut out from a pattern paper in the Here and There collection. And I stitched along that with my sewing machine and white thread as well. And I'm just going to adhere that to make a stronger dividing line for kind of where my photos are going to sit. So the Here and There collection is actually a travel collection, but it is filled with so many beautiful fall colors that I couldn't resist using it for fall as well. So I have 4 photos that I have printed here. 2 are just regular 4x6 photos. The other are 4x3 photos printed in a landscape orientation. So the main photo that I wanted to highlight here on this layout is the one that I just placed that has that kind of a gold mat around it. And that's why I put the gold mat around it, is because I wanted it to stand out from the rest of them. So the other photos I placed on the left page, and I'm popping some of them up with some foam tape. That's totally just personal preference. I just like the variation in height across the page. You'll also notice that I didn't put all the photos just at the same eye level straight across the page. By bouncing the photos across the page, it naturally draws the reader's eye across the page. So I have, my photo on the right that is up the highest, and then I went down with my 2 smaller photos, and then back up slightly with the photo on the left. So I wanted to bring in that kind of golden brown color in on the left page as well. So I had just this little scrap from a previous project, and I tucked that behind the left upper left corner of that photo. So now that I have my photos in place, it's time to bring in the other 2 elements that are most important to me on the page, the title and the journaling. So the title on this page is Adventure Awaits, and I'm using a large die cut from the Page Pieces pack to create the title. And it's just a die cut, and I wanted there to be more dimension with the title, and that's why I'm adding lots of foam adhesive here. You honestly probably don't need that much foam adhesive, but since this is a project for the magazine, they travel a lot, and so I just wanted to make sure that everything stays in place. So I'm using foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. That tray that you'll see that's kind of on top of my photos is a stackable tray from scrapbook.com. I use those to kind of separate my die cuts to keep my desk a little organized, I guess I should say. And oftentimes I use them for as a little trash can as well. These leaves I die cut from scraps from the 6x8 paper pad from the Here and There collection. And then I went and stitched like the veins on the leaves with embroidery thread. And I had in mind to just kind of add the leaves in all across the page, kind of bouncing up and down with my photos. So I'm just laying the leaves out kind of where I think that I would like them. And then here in a little bit, I will move on and adhere them as well. I thought this globe was super cute and would be a great anchor for the embellishment cluster that goes above the title. So I just adhered that using some foam adhesive. And then I will go in and add foam adhesive to the tips of the leaves. It's kind of hard to adhere these these leaves. So I add just a little bit of foam adhesive where there's no stitching. You could also use liquid adhesive if you're not looking for extra dimension. I did want some extra dimension on these projects. So I'm just doing the same thing, adhering those leaves and kind of surrounding them with the globe. And then I'll do that with two more embellishment clusters. But before I do that, I wanted to add in kind of some more anchors for my embellishment clusters. And even though this is not exactly in the embellishment cluster, it's right next to the embellishment cluster that I'm going to put kind of in that empty space between the photos. And I love tags. I especially love the tag cut apart papers that Simple Stories has. So I try to include those on as many layouts as I can. So I'll go ahead and adhere these leaves here above, kind of nestled in with those photos. You'll see that one I actually ran out of embroidery thread, so I didn't 100% complete the stitching on that leaf, but I still loved the color and the stitching. So I just am strategically placing the leaves that go next to it so that you don't see where I ran out of adhesive, or excuse me, out of embroidery thread. So over there to the left of the photos, I am working on this other embellishment cluster and just making sure that I have everything placed exactly where I want it. You'll notice that I'm trying to mix the colors as well as the shape of the leaves. So it takes a minute to kind of get everything placed, but I want to make sure that there's a little bit of each of those colors and different shapes of leaves in each of those embellishment clusters. I also add in a few die cuts to these embellishment clusters, like pre-made die cuts that came with the Here and There collection. And so I kind of play with mixing those with the leaves that I already have die cut. So it can be a little bit tricky to get those two different types of die cuts to work together, but I think these worked so well together, and I'm so happy with the end result. Of course, I wanted to add in some more leaves too, not just the flowers, but that little pop of green goes a long ways. So I'm reaching into the foam stickers. I wanted to add a subtitle on the left page. Nothing huge, but just a little bit more text so that there was some sort of text on the left page. So I added that foam sticker just right there above my two smaller photos, and to kind of cover where those leaves all come together, kind of the stems of those leaves. And I'm just adding a little bit of foam adhesive, even though that is a foam sticker. I liked that little bit extra height so that there were different levels, because remember, I did pop up the photos that are underneath. So I just wanted to add some more dimension on that little embellishment cluster. I also added that little pop of the green leaf die cuts that helps to balance out the colors in that embellishment cluster. So last but not least, I have one embellishment cluster here along the bottom of the photo on the right hand side of the layout. And I'm just adhering that with a little bit of foam adhesive. And then I'll go back in and tuck some more green leaves around that one to balance things out. I kind of go back and forth on how I want that one to look. And actually in the end, I think I end up not adding those green leaves back in, because those leaves have green stitching on them. So I do have that pop of green. So it's time to add my journaling strips. I've had those laying there on the layout to make sure that I have room for them. So I print my journaling at home using just a regular printer, regular copy paper, white copy paper, and the American typewriter font. And I print that out and I cut them into strips using my paper trimmer. And then I add 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. I get mine at scrapbook.com, and put those on the back of each strip. And then I can just go in and easily adhere those strips and place them wherever I need to when I am putting the layout together. So I'm pointing out that I want a little bit more to go in the embellishment cluster that is above the title, and then also one that is below that photo on the right page. So I'll go through die cut packs. I find that camera that I really like, and it so I'm deciding between a couple of places where it could possibly go. I'm also looking through the flower die cut pack to see if there's any flowers or greenery that I want to add to these embellishment clusters. I also pulled out my enamel dots because enamel dots are always kind of the finishing touch on my projects. Once I have my embellishments all in place and titles and photos and everything, that's kind of my last step, is to sprinkle some enamel dots throughout the page. So I decided that I wanted that dark blue flower in the embellishment cluster that is below the photo on the right page. And then I'm just auditioning some more greenery to go around that flower as well. And again, that will tie in, make that embellishment cluster tie in with the others that already have some greenery in there. So I have just a couple more of the greenery die cuts that I wanted to add to the embellishment cluster above the title. And then I have my enamel dots that I'm ready to sprinkle around the page. So I'm using the lighter blue enamel dots, and I'm sprinkling those in each of the embellishment clusters. I wish that I had a few more of those, and I would probably have added a few more to the embellishment clusters as well. So I wanted a little bit more text on the page on the left, and so I added in another foam sticker that says relax. This layout is about a drive that my husband and I took just in the mountains to see the beautiful fall colors last year. So we'll just add a few more enamel dots. I finished off all of those blue, kind of the lighter blue enamel dots. I added an adhesive brad there at the top of the tag. And then I thought that this cute little car was so fun, and it fit with the colors that I had going on as well. And so I placed that right there above the title. So the last little spot on this layout that is kind of bothering me that I would like to finish off is kind of that negative space there, kind of in the title. And so I grabbed my washi tape from the Here and There collection and added that little bit of washi there. And then I went back and I thought about putting the date. That's what that little tiny strip is at the very bottom there. But decided against it and turned to my 12 by 12 sticker sheet to see if I could find something that I wanted to fill in that page. So ultimately I decided to just leave it with the washi tape, and so I'm just giving you a close-up view of all of those embellishment clusters. So thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. Please make sure you like this video and subscribe to the Scrapbook and Cards Today YouTube channel. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you again soon.